In today's video, we look at Combat Zone, a near-future dystopian skirmish miniatures game, plus some pre-painted pewter figures from EM4 Miniatures. Well, hi folks, this is Lee from skirmishwargames.com. Welcome to the channel. I'm here with Lynn.
Hello.
Today we're presenting you with the final installment of our Countdown to Stargrave series, where we look at a variety of potential sci-fi minis for Osprey's upcoming Stargrave skirmish game, written by Frostgrave author Joseph McCullough. At this point, however, I don't think we're strictly adhering to that format that's kind of fallen apart. I think we're mostly just pulling fun stuff off the shelf for grins and sharing it with you guys, so that's kind of what we're doing today. So with that in mind, today we're checking out the rules and pre-painted pewter minis for Combat Zone, a tabletop dystopian game by Paladin Publishing from Southampton, England. And I should also mention that we've also posted another bonus video at skirmishwargames.com. We have opened up the COGS Army box for the AT-43 tabletop miniatures game. And if you'd like to check that out, I will leave a link in the video description below here, or you can just visit skirmishwargames.com and click on the bonus video tab. So in the Combat Zone credits, I noticed that the publishers have listed the Royal Air Force Wargames Association, along with the RAF Odiham Wargames Club and the RAF Halton Wargames Club. And I'm not sure what the connection is there, but if anybody knows, please leave a comment in the comment section because that sounds kind of interesting. So Combat Zone takes place in a near-future dystopia where mega corporations have taken control of all media and government functions and have built fortified cities within cities to house themselves and their workers. The lawless areas outside of these corporate safe zones, however, are gang territory, where rival factions war with each other for turf, resources, and bragging rights, and also occasionally clash with heavily armed corporate security teams. These non-corporate areas of perpetual civil unrest are called combat zones. And before I forget, if you go to combatzonechronicles.net, there is actually a web magazine there devoted to Combat Zone with all kinds of free scenarios and unofficial rules, some dating back to 2001. So apparently Combat Zone has been around for a long, long time. So I purchased my copy of Combat Zone from EM4 Miniatures, that's em4miniatures.com for those interested, which sells plastic and metal sci-fi and fantasy miniatures, terrain, dice, and even a bunch of other gaming stuff, including rules and minis for Combat Zone. They even offer a free PDF of the Combat Zone Battle Book Supplement, which is 50 pages of additional material. And all EM4 asks in return is that players share their Combat Zone games on social media, which seems kind of reasonable. So Combat Zone seems to have gone through a couple of different incarnations. There was at one point a box set that contained the rules, cardstock terrain, and other printed material, along with 30 plastic minis. Now I think they sell the rules and the minis separately, so I checked today, and you can get a set of 5 plastic gangers or 5 plastic mechs for just £3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad at all. So I picked up this copy of Combat Zone in 2017, and at the time, it came in this stylish plastic Ziploc bag. And instead of the plastic minis, they were selling a line of pre-painted pewter minis for the game. I went back through my emails to check on the price, and I'm not sure which of these guys is the Mercs. It could be these guys or these guys. But you could get a box of gangers, that's these guys, and a box of Mercs for £25 for both of them, which was not too bad. And then I picked up another box of minis, maybe this one, on eBay for about $10 with shipping at the same time. So while not everything is available now, EM4 still sells a variety of pre-painted minis, including a host of pre-painted fantasy figs. And I noticed today you could still pick up a box of Mercs, so it's either these guys or these guys, I forget. And some pre-painted Old West heroes, which we have, for just £7.50 each, which seems like a pretty good deal. So those are actually on sale. Maybe they're just getting rid of the remnants. But these even come with dice, and we'll show you here in a minute. This Western set, I think this is the one, actually has a CD-ROM in here, a mini one, and you can print out a rule set for their Western game, just a little kind of Western gunfight game that goes with the minis. So you get the minis, the dice, and even the rules. Here's the other set. So one of these has a CD. We'll figure out which one. But yeah, they're still selling at least one of these boxes of Old West heroes and at least one box of Mercs, so you can check that out if you're interested. So Lynn, do you have any interest in unboxing these minis?
Yes. I want to get in and play with the dices.
Yeah, these dice look kind of interesting. They have a skull representing one of the numerals. I don't know if that's the 1 or the 20, but I guess we'll find out. And here's a little box of alien miniatures we'll look at too from EM4, and I forget where I got these exactly, but they seem to be kind of in the same range as these other guys.
Can toss them in the enemy mix.
That's right. They can be the patrons at the alien cantina that no doubt will show up in some scenario. So the Combat Zone rulebook is a compact 32 pages, 10 of which are devoted to a mini campaign at the back. So really only about 20 pages worth of rules, which is the way I like it. So this should be pretty easy to absorb. We haven't played this yet, but shouldn't be all that difficult to get a handle on it. And then there was some other stuff here in the Ziploc bag, and I'm not sure that all of this stuff comes with the rulebook now, but maybe some of it does. So we got counters in here, blast markers. This cardstock is pretty thin. And then even train bits, so you can build walls and stuff using this cardstock, which is kind of fallen off of the frames, but as you can see, not too bad. And permission to copy, so you could copy some more on your color printer if you were so inclined. And then some gang rosters, quite a few of them actually. And quick reference sheets, 2 of them. So
handy, handy.
Yeah, very handy. And then these must be the little tabs that your train pieces stand up in. So you use these to hold up the cardstock walls. So that is the contents of the Combat Zone Ziploc bag edition. And I like this because pretty much everything you need, if you had some figures already and you had this Ziploc bag with the rules and the dice and the train, you would be good to go. So no fooling around. Let me even give you some dice here. All right. Shall we take a look at these miniatures? Now, I want to say one thing about pre-painted miniatures before we dig into that. So when it comes to pre-painted miniatures, the tabletop gaming industry seems to struggle sort of balancing price and quality. They know there's a sweet spot in there somewhere, but they haven't been able to find it yet. So Dust Premium, for example, makes some really nice minis, but they're expensive. And then WizKids, Wizards of the Coast, and Rackham all made or make pre-painted figs priced for the mass market, but obviously they have to kind of skimp on details to make them affordable. So these here, it looks like EM4 was attempting to offer pre-painted pewter minis at a reasonable price point. So even if I was paying, I don't know, 12.5 pounds per box 3 or 4 years ago, and now they're 7.5 pounds per box, and I bought one of them for $10 American, that's pretty cheap. We'll have to see what the quality is, and I'll tell you right now, it's going to vary a little bit. So I think they did the best they could. Some of them don't look too bad, and other ones you can see, you know, this was probably done on an assembly line, and so people did what they could, I'm sure. All right, let's open these up and take a look at them.
Where should we start?
Just for fun, let's start with the Old West minis just for fun because I want to show people the compact disc that's in there, the little CD-ROM. So here's the Old West figures, and yeah, I suppose we should have a discussion about cultural representation at some point, but these are what they are, and you get 5 pewter figures plus the dice. But the other set, you get 5 pewter figures plus the dice, plus a mini CD-ROM, and Lynn, you actually opened this on your computer. It was able to accept it, and we printed out the rule sheet.
Yes, we did.
So it's like a little Western gunfight rule set included in there. And so that is a pretty interesting idea to have the pre-painted miniatures and the dice and the rules all in the same small box. So good on them for trying something. So here's a closer look at the minis, and really, these guys aren't terrible. You can see shading on the clothing, there's buckles on the guy's suspenders, there's little beads and such on the mountain man's clothing, and yeah, not terrible at all considering the price point they were selling these at. So here's the other Western set, and as you can see, it's not quite as nice as the first one. Some of the faces are a little wonky, but still, given the price point, it's about in line with what one might expect. All right. Let's look at the aliens. Yeah, so here's the alien figs, and I gotta say, not too bad. Again, right, is it gonna be a contest winner? Absolutely not. From 2 or 3 feet away, is it going to be fine for a game? Oh yeah, you bet. I like the crab guy there on the right.
I like the other guy on the other end.
Oh yeah, the alien type fellow, the xenomorph type fellow there, and then the green and blue guy in the middle. So yeah, I would have to say these are pretty decent for what they are, and we could just put a base on these guys, and if we needed some sort of instant alien to pop up in a game from an encounter chart, there you go. He's right here. Okay, let's open up these other ones and take a look. So this is either a set of gangers or mercs, and I'm going to say these are probably mercs.
Some of these might end up in one of my crews.
That's perfectly fine. Though I will say Lynn has been painting up a storm, so her Stargrave crew is really coming along. She has goblin mechanics, a space chimp, space rats, toolbots, I forget what else. So here is the Merck Squad on their bases that came with the set, and they are pretty much the same size as a Cadian. Here, I'll show you. So you can see that Cadian is pretty darn close to the size of these Mercs here, so he would fit right in. And the Mercs themselves, there's definitely some shading on there, and it doesn't look like they were just splashed with paint. Like, check out this guy's helmet. Yeah, I'm curious now why these didn't take off. I think for the price point and the quality you get, even if 2 boxes were 25 pounds in 2017, what's that, about 40 bucks? So 20 bucks a box. Would you pay $20 for 5 fairly well-painted miniatures? I think so. I think a lot of folks who don't have the time to paint or might not be interested, or we know folks who have hand tremors or maybe their eyesight's fading or other issues, yeah, they could still play games and have some fairly nice looking figs on the table. And again, 2 to 3 feet away, the little errors here, you know, the little inconsistencies, you wouldn't even notice them. Yeah, there's the alien Horde next to the Cadian. They look pretty comparable. I like this crab guy, though. I think he's my favorite. Crabman, the Cosmic Claw.
He can be your hacker.
He could be a hacker.
Or your lockpick guy. He
That's
just snips them.
He's a safecracker. So here's a box of the generic gangers. They're pretty good, but the lady in yellow, second from the left, is probably not their best work. So this lady here has a few issues. So at first it looks pretty good. Her clothing is shaded. She's got a nice checkerboard bandana over her head, but her face is kind of off. And I don't think they gave her any pants. Anyway, yeah, she should get some pants. If you're going to go into a turf war, get some pants. Society demands pants. And these are kind of the SWAT team / law enforcement / corporate security. And these are not as good. You can sort of see in the faces that the quality is broken down a little bit. They're a little more slopped on. Again, not terrible, but some of the other sets were nicer. But still, if you needed some generic, security forces to hop onto the board, they'd be fine. Yeah, and we're awash in D20s now. What did we get, like 30 different D20s?
Yeah, I just like the marbled look. It's kind of fun.
And again, there's our time-traveling Cadian. He has traveled to another universe, a dystopian universe, but it's still better than being in the Imperial Guard. Yeah, he's fairly comparable to all of them, so he's not too much taller or too much shorter than any of the others, so he would not look out of place. It's nice to fit in. So Lynn, what do you think about these? You were saying you might actually abscond with a few for your Stargrave crew, even though you've painted up a whole bunch.
Yeah, I kind of like the aliens, especially this guy. I like him.
The blue one, the xenomorph?
These two. Yeah, these two, right there.
Okay.
They end up in some of the crews.
Well, that's perfectly fine. That's what they're here for. Okay, folks, let us our look at Combat Zone from Paladin Publishing and a bunch of pewter figures from EM4 Miniatures for use in your next dystopian type gang warfare scenario, or perhaps these can be ruffians on a Stargrave crew. Okay, I guess that's a wrap. Thanks very much for stopping by and checking out today's video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, and if you like today's vid, give it a thumbs up, which I guess helps us with the algorithm. Until we post our next YouTube misadventure, take care of yourselves, and we will see you soon.